Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Seasonsinritual and IndependenceStNola, and I'm here to talk about this Gemini dark moon that's happening today. It is June 17th, 2023. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm just going to give more of a feeling. I didn't really go in and look at the mathematical degrees. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Gemini is the twins. It is my rising sign actually as well, and I am a twin. So I love Gemini. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this dark moon in Gemini and what's coming through for me as a feeling and as thoughts. This last week, if you guys watched the video with Helen and I, we were talking about, we were going to go through sort of this portal, if you will, with these ideas that sometimes things just aren't going to make sense. And that's okay. There's going to be times where you just feel things, and when you try to go back and think about them logically, it's not going to make sense. Or you're going to get into the story of, well, it worked that way when I did it that time, so why isn't it working this way or with that person? And that is supposed to be like that, especially when it comes to Gemini. Because the idea is, for me, Gemini is the heart and the mind, right? It's a balance. And so, but it's also teaching us how to use discernment, to really look and to be present in a situation, to say, oh, okay, this is working now. It didn't work in the past. Okay, what changed? Well, probably a million things has changed. So very subtle things, things that are not so subtle. But the idea is, because as humans, we are evolving and changing. It is important to see the story that you are giving yourself now and seeing how you can change that story to fit where you are now. I pulled some cards this morning for myself at my altar, and they were really interesting what came out, but very relevant. And one of them was love, a love card, right, which was good for this Gemini, and the other one was an earth card, which was also perfect for this time for me. But what it was telling me was, it is important that when we stay in source and we are connected to source and source is flowing, that is one way we see the world, and that is one way that we show up authentically. What disconnects us from that is when we start having these other thoughts or ideas that are at odds with that authentic story of who we are. And so this is a good time with this Gemini dark moon to start really noticing the false narratives that we keep trying to paint our world with. It's a good time just to take a break and to really see where those false narratives maybe came from. You know, this is time when it's a dark moon, it is a time really of just kind of rest and reflection, because when we're in this dark space, right, with the void, where creation happens, that allows those old thoughts to get transmuted and to create new thoughts. It isn't this idea that, oh, I'm thinking about this, so I keep creating that. Not necessarily. You can keep creating it if you just keep, thinking this is who you are. But there is really a time of reflection and a time of, well, do I want to keep going down that road or not? And that's really good. I'm doing this with my hands. In outer space, I'm doing this with my hands in outer space. But I'm saying this is a really good time of reflection, especially with Gemini, right? Because it gives you a way to look at things differently. It gives you a way to look at things through two different lenses and two different perspectives. Gemini in its highest vibration is, to me, is what gets us out of duality, when before Gemini was just seen as duality. And I see Gemini as the sign that, keep giving me options, Gemini, like give me something else to think about, give me a new way of seeing this, allow my heart to speak up on this situation, or allow my heart to rest and my mind to say something logically. But also it is that inference of just knowing that both can be in balance, but both can just be, it's odd to say, like, not speaking to each other, and not because they're mad at each other, but that they can be in a harmony that isn't quite logical, if that makes sense. Like logically, like feeling it makes sense. Like your brain is kind of like, playing these chords in your heart or playing these chords, and all of a sudden it makes a beautiful symphony, right? But when you try to like break it down and dissect it, that's when it doesn't make sense. And so with this dark moon, it's important to kind of see where you are in your life now, what it is that you really like about yourself, what it is that you really like about your life, where you're allowing new stories to start creating, because you're allowing yourself to see those old stories and old narratives that you're stepping back from, that you don't have to believe in anymore. And you're starting to see kind of where they came from. And you can kind of say like, oh, wait, that's not me. This is a good time to go into this idea of ego death, especially that lower ego, a death of that lower ego, because that does keep us bound to old stories. And, you know, that's a big subject, I guess, to tackle. But the idea would be, because you're in this time of rest, in this time of reflection, and Gemini is here to help move through this, that you would just put it out there to the cosmos. Okay, I'm ready to send to the void that lower ego that doesn't allow me to keep creating and doesn't allow me to show up in my most authentic self. So, you know, can you gently show me things or whisper in my ear ideas or scenarios that I can say, oh, that's it, I don't have to do that anymore. And it's really important when we start asking for these things to then really start paying attention to kind of what comes up, because sometimes it will be really, you know, very subtle, and sometimes it will just keep, you know, hitting you in the face. And the thing is when these things come up and you're like, oh God, you know, you're like, oh, okay, that's it. That's when you're like, oh, okay, that feeling right there, that is the feeling that I'm transmuting. That is the story that no longer serves me. You know, thank you for showing this to me. You know, I'm now allowing it to transmute itself, you know, go back to the void. And now I'm allowing new thoughts to come in. I'm allowing myself to nurture this new pattern, this new thought pattern, if you will. So be consciously aware of that. So I pulled out because Sean said he liked when I pulled cards. So I'm going to pull cards again. I think I'm just going to pull ones because I'll get two for this moon. Wild Unknown Archetypes. They're round. And this is like a very intense deck. I don't just use this deck like, oh, I'm going to use this. Like it's very deliberate when I want to use this deck, or if I use it, pull it out to use in a reading, because it is super intense. She did a really great job with this deck. And then because we're in this huge time of shift, that is the other thing in this big time of shift. So Saturn is turning retrograde. We're about to go into summer. The summer solstice is going to be on the 21st when we move into Cancer. The lunar nodes are about to shift signs. So there's a lot of shifting here. And so I can't stress this enough. This dark moon, it's a good time to rest, to kind of see these things, allow them to, you know, allow yourself to notice them. Two came out. So we'll just do these two. Oh yeah, and on the bottom's the ring. Okay. Because we're getting ready for this, we're moving into a new season. And so, and literally us as humans, we're moving into this new season as well. So what came out was the Village. How can I see this so you guys can see it? In the Stone. And honestly, I don't think I've ever seen the Stone before. That's really good. You guys can see some repeating patterns that might be resonating with you. Okay, so let's start with the Village. I'm going to say when I was like, I'm going to use these, I forgot how big this book was. So we're looking up the Village. XL1, okay. The Village. And these cards are being pulled for this new moon or dark moon in Gemini. Very interesting, because we were talking about old stories and releasing old stories. Okay, so the Village. the hometown, the family, the tribe. The village presents us with a conundrum. On one hand, it's the place that feels most like home, the place to which you can always return. Nostalgia and comfort draw us back. On the other hand, it's the very place you must leave in order to grow. Around the village, an unspoken boundary exists. One most villagers do not want to cross. One most villagers do not want you to cross. Though some support you're leaving, still you hear whispers of doubt as you venture beyond its borders. The energy of the village is present anytime we feel restricted by a certain group, community, family, place, or ideology. It may have served us in the past, yet staying within its parameters will never satiate our thirst for life. Thank the village for all it has provided, knowing you will someday return. For now, the world awaits. Yes. Okay, so let's look up. So when this is light, it's intimate, rooted, intergenerational, and communal. When dark, it's small-minded, gossipy, trapped, and restricted. So you can feel both these ways. And if you're feeling in that darker space or lower vibration space, it's important to go to those higher vibrations. So now let's go to the stone. Okay. 1x. Okay, hold on, we're almost there. Okay, the stone. Is it? Wow. Okay. So the stone, the eternal, the anchor, the rock. As an archetypal object, the stone holds psychic and literal weight. Its energy is one of permanence, concreteness, and reliability. The stone's ability to transform is nearly impeccable to us. Excuse me. The stone's ability to transform is nearly imperceptible to us, as it changes ever so slowly over countless human lifespans. It's so beautiful. A single stone may see thousands of generations come and go. Therefore, it contains an ancient and eternal presence. The stone is best used to anchor our wild side. So no matter how far we roam, we can always find our way back. This is making me very emotional, actually, you guys. The stone tethers us to earth, helping to ground and connect us to stillness, quiet, and peace. When this card appears, it is likely the stone is a remedy for all that ails us. Humble and easily unnoticed, the power of the stone balances the frenzy of our world. That is so beautiful. And the fact that those came out together, the idea too is that if you roam, what if you roam and you lose your way? And this is telling you you'll never lose your way when you ground and connect and recenter. The stone is always there. The stone is us. We are the stone. That's very beautiful. So when light, this is steadfast, loyal, committed, and present. When it's a lower vibrational, it's weighed down, holding back, and cold. So it's important to remember, if you're feeling those lower vibrations, to go to those higher vibrations with steadfast, loyal, committed, and present. Stay in that present. Bring yourself back to the present. On the bottom is the ring. Okay, we'll do the ring as well. That was so beautiful. This is the ring. The portal, we're talking about that portal energy with my friends. We went through a portal. I was talking about it with Sweet Heidi. She went through a portal. We're going through this portal energy, the ring, moving into summer. So we're moving. Here it is, the ring. This is great. This is great. Okay, so the ring, the infinite, the wheel, the connection. So we've talked about leaving the village. We've talked about being grounded, and so we know our way. And now we're talking about the ring, which is the infinite, the will, the connection. The ring is an image of connectedness. Rather than viewing life as linear, as a series of progressive achievements, the ring challenges us to the cyclical, infinite, to the cyclical, infinite nature of our world and experiences. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over this. These, you guys can't see. The way it's written is kind of scratchy, and I may or may need glasses. Okay. So we'll start over. The ring is an image of connectedness. Rather than viewing life as linear, as a series of progressive achievements, the ring challenges us to the sense of the cyclical, infinite nature of our world and experiences. Beginnings and endings fall by the wayside as we practice seeing ourselves as part of the cosmic circularity of creation. Circularity. As we see ourselves as part of the cosmic circularity of creation. For this reason, it's no surprise a ring is worn on the finger to represent eternal love that surpasses space, time, and worldly things. So much can be projected onto this archetypal image because it mimics the Earth's orbit around our great sun and the intimate bond between two lovers, which is also so beautiful because the sun and the moon is that masculine and feminine. And when it is a dark moon, you know, they are together in quiet consecration, if you will. They are also the two lovers. It is the micro and macro united. This card calls us to deepen connection with self, other, and the world at large. Meanwhile, there may be a literal ring waiting to adorn your finger. It's so beautiful. And if it is this commitment, this new commitment to yourself, this new commitment to yourself to show up as your authentic self, this new commitment to you and the other, as in I promise to show my best self to the other, to the world as well. Okay, so this was a very beautiful reading. So when light, connectedness, humility, sacred cycles, when dark, unconscious, repetition, starving for connection. So if you guys feel like you're in this unconsciousness and in this, you know, the way your life keeps going over and over, and you're starving for some connection, the one way you can do that is to go is this idea of going back out, maybe leaving the village, but also sitting with the earth, sitting with the stones. You know, it is this idea that we keep moving forward. You know, where is that connection? If you're missing that connection, how can you reconnect to yourself and spirit? How can you reconnect to the flow of love that is everlasting, especially in this time of darkness, especially in this time with Gemini, who are the twins. So now you get 4 arms to give you hugs, right? When you can lay down and sit with this energy or meditate, or however you would like. So you know, and this you can set intentions with the dark moon. You know, I usually set intentions, you know, with the full moon, and then work up to the dark moon, and then go in this time of rest. But it's okay if you want to set some intentions, you guys, especially with this intention to see the cycles you want to change, see where you can feel safe leaving the village, you know, see where you stay grounded but still moving, and really getting that sacred connectedness with the earth as you move forward, because it is all connected. Sun, moon, stars, sky, earth, wind, water, all the elements, right? They're all there. They're all for us to be connected to. Okay, friends. I'm going to leave it at that. Of course, if you want a reading, feel free to reach out to me via Instagram or my websites. Heidi Kansas, who is a death doula and sex activist, and I will be doing a class to Intuition 101. If you have questions about that, just reach out to me and I can send you the flyer and information on that. And that is going to be next week. The end of next week. So we do have limited spaces, but I hope you guys all have a beautiful dark moon in Gemini. I hope these cards resonated with you as much as they resonated with me. And I will see you guys on Sunday when I meet up with Miss Helen, the Crimson Cadaveress. Till then.